Hello ladies, welcome to my channel. My name is Edna Alvarado and today I'm going to be crafting. This is going to be a video that is going to be a little bit long, but I'm going to show you a few items and what is it that I am going to be working with. I have on my table things that I'm going to be trying out, maybe combine them. I'm not really sure yet, but I have a brayer, I have a detail brush and a regular brush, a painting brush. I'm going to be using a printout from this crafting USB Craft Studio USB that I purchased from createandcraft.com in the UK. I'm also going to be using, and this is, an experimental. I have water, I have a sponge, I have another sponge to apply my decoupage glue. I have a brayer just in case. This I'm going to be using with my antiquing paint. The antiquing paint is from Tattered and it's from the company called LeBLanche. That's where I bought it. They are located in the US. I am going to be using the Decoupage fabric glue, and this is from Cadence. And like I said, I purchased everything on www.createandcraft.com. I did use the US section, but they are located in the UK, and you can watch the channel anytime you want. I also have this little piece of packaging. It's bubble wrap because I'm probably going to be doing a little bit of distressing on what I'm going to be working on. And I'm going to show you the print that I'm going to use from this CD. This is a beautiful, I did copy it with my laser print onto rice paper. The flowers are just absolutely gorgeous. There's many prints in this CD, and I think I purchased it for around $46. I did 2 prints of that for my project, and I'm going to be setting some of these items aside. That's pretty much my introduction on that. I am going to take my little packaging. I'm gonna put it inside my little container. I do have a sponge here, and I keep these little containers whenever I find them. I have a sponge. I did dab it a little, not a lot, just in case I need it. I'm gonna be using this dabber. A lot of people sell it online or in, like the Molly Handcraft. I believe she sells these just as well. The other company that you probably can get it is from Spectrum Art. I am not sure if my friend Marianne from Happy Paper People does sell these, but you can find these also at the dollar store. Let me see. That's free advertisement. Nobody's paying me to try any of these items. I just want to be clear on that. And I'm going to be showing you what I'm going to be crafting on. Like I said, the antiquing paint is from the company LeBlanche in the UK, and it's Tattered. They do have an antiquing kit that you can buy. I did get the kit, but I'm only going to be using this kind of old-fashioned rose paint because I think it's going to go really well with my project. I'm going to be using probably both of these because if I use the antiquing paint, I'm going to be using the Mod Podge to seal it. You're probably only going to see a picture as your little snapshot of the finished project once I am done, but I'm going to set these aside where I can reach them and have them accessible. I'm going to take my water from my brushes, and I'm going to be putting the water in a place where it's not going to spill, and hopefully you can still see my project. This is where I'm going to be placing my ink if I didn't mention that, but I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to be setting my studio USB right where it belongs, because then later on I won't be able to find it. I know me. I'm going to be repurposing. This is new. There is a bridal store, or a store that sells all kinds of different craftings and weddings and you name it, here locally in Chicago. And this letter, it's supposed to be sitting on this stand, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to decorate it with the Mod Podge, and then later on I'm going to be decorating it sort of kind of like shabby chic, and I'm going to be posting that picture as a little snapshot when you look the video. So if you have time to hang around and play with me, that would be fun. um, Please do like my channel, because that puts me out there on the videos that I post in my group and in my YouTube. And you can also find me on Facebook under Edna Alvarado. So I'm going to get started, and one of the things that I'm going to do first is I want to take portions of this and let's get crafting, because I'm going to possibly take a while doing this video. Another thing that I do have is a little sanding block just in case I need it. I'm going to set it aside here. That's another one of the tools that I'm going to be using. I printed 2 copies because there are different sections that I'm going to be using of this rice paper, which is just absolutely gorgeous. And I will be posting pictures either on my Facebook page or here just as well. Like I said, please like my channel, share it with your friends, and let's get crafting. So to get started, what I'm going to do is, since I'm going to use this bottom portion and it's going to be facing me, because I want to make sure that the lettering that is here, it looks, you know, upright. So I'm going to go ahead and manually, let me see, I'm not going to be needing most of it, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut with my scissors this right here, because that's a big portion of this. That's why I printed too. Mulberry is expensive, but you know, my little scraps, I save them and I use them on other projects. I do want to get the lettering here, and I do want to get the lettering in this corner, and these beautiful flowers. These designs, they're just absolutely gorgeous. No, that didn't work to see the detail, but I will be posting it in my Facebook page once I am done. And this is a gift, so I won't be posting it until I have given it to the person that I am making it for. What I'm doing right now, as you can see, is sort of kind of pressing against the mulberry paper or the rice paper, whatever you want to call it, you know, and sort of kind of making an indent so I can make sure that when I Mod Podge or I use my Cadence Decoupage paper, I can go ahead and adhere it in the corners, and it can be seen once the letter is finished. So let me take my little Cadence. It is fabric decoupage, but I think it's going to work. I had watched some videos in their highlight, and you know, they do in Create and Craft do educational videos when they are selling these items, which is really great, just like they do in HSN. But what I'm going to go ahead is I'm going to take this corner, and you see this little corner right here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to cut this, make a little cut up to that corner, and I'm going to cut this one like if you were making an envelope. And please don't mind my shaking. This really doesn't matter because once I'm done with it, it's gonna look perfect. But this is my way of doing the corners, so then that way there's not excess paper left and everything is covered. So I'm gonna turn it around, and I'm gonna do the same thing on this end. I'm gonna go right at the corner here. I'm gonna bring the scissors right outside of my frame, and then I'm gonna do the same thing here. This works for me. I mean, you know, you can do it any way you want, but that's how I do it. And then I'm gonna finally do this corner. So I got my scissors to that point right at the corner, and then I'm going to do the same thing on this corner. So those little pieces, I'm not going to need them. Let me just push them over to the side. Now right now what I am going to do is I'm going to take my Cadence fabric decoupage glue, and I've already opened it. It is new. It's the first time I'm trying it. I did see the demo. It's very concentrated, and another thing that you always want to have is some paper towels or kitchen towels, you know, so you can wipe off the excess either on the brushes or dry the brushes or clean your fingers. So let me move this a little bit this way. You can do the application either with a sponge or you can do it with a brush. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna use the brush. I can't make up my mind which one I want to use. So, you know, that's already sort of kind of like folded. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna use my brush. Normally I like to prepare the surface by sanding it. I'm not sure how this is going to work because I'm not preparing the surface. I'm not doing anything to it. This is the trial. If it doesn't work, then I'll just do it all over again. I want to make sure that I'm going to set this on the side, and I want to make sure that this little hole here is pretty clear of any glue. Now I'm going to take my item, and where I folded it, that's why I did it this way. I want to make sure that it's right at the corner at the fold, so then that way when I fold it in, it is right in the place that I want it to be. I am pressing against my decoupage glue, and you're gonna notice that the corners are not glued yet. I will be doing that. So I'm just making sure that my rice paper is completely flat, and it looks like I didn't set it right, but I think that this is going to hold. Just bear with me. So I pressed it down, and I'm going to run my nail around it, and then I'm going to run my nail around this side and around this side. And why am I doing that? Because I want to make sure that it's going to be completely flat. Now I'm going to take a thinner detail brush, and what I'm going to do is, instead of applying it to the plastic surface, or this is sort of kind of like pressed paneling, I'm going to put it directly onto the paper, the rice paper, and I'm going to press against it. I'm going to check it and make sure that it doesn't have any bubbles. If you see any air bubbles, you can go ahead and try to use your little dabber sponge brush and get rid of them as much as you can. If you don't like it, then just lift it. There aren't any air bubbles. The rice paper, I'm sorry for the noise behind me. I do live close to a firehouse and they're always going out. I'm gonna go ahead, and since I've already glued that, I'm going to put this flat a little bit so I know where my crease is at, and I'm going to make sure that this is very moist, because remember, with the wear and tear, this is going to maybe lift or maybe not. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same process. I am going to bring it over, and I am going to press all the way around and making sure that my rice paper, it is flat. I will do the same in this corner, and you know, I'm not really being cheap about the amount of glue that I am using. This glue seems to be very concentrated. When I did watch the demo that they did in the Create and Craft website, I believe it was, oh goodness gracious, I know his last name is right. I just can't remember if his first name is David or not, but you know, he does a lot of mixed media, and he's a presenter for Cadence, and he's also with Create and Craft. As you can see, I've gone and molded every single corner. You know, rice paper is very, very, very giving. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to lift this a little. I know it hasn't been totally attached. And I'm going to attempt to cut this as close as possible. You know, you could do this freehand, but I choose to do it directly on the project, and because to me that's the best way. You know, normally my hands are very shaky, and it doesn't really work for me, but as you can see, I've brought it very close to the border. I mean, it's right at the edge, and because it's still wet, it's very giving. I'm going to take this one, I'm going to fold the flap a little bit outward. I'm going to take this, goes in the trash. I'm just going to be sitting on this side, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I am going to take my scissors, and I'm going to cut as close as possible to the project, and I'm going to press against it. I will do the same process on this side. Let me get rid of that. Maybe I should put this on my mat that I'm using, so then that way I can dispose of it later. Again, I am going to cut against the grain of the platform that I am working on, and I'm taking it as close as possible to the end. As you can see, there's a little lip there. You can either leave it alone or you can try to cut it. You know, it depends how meticulous you want to be about your project. I can go ahead and use my sanding block later and just sort of kind of get rid of all that. In the meantime, I'm making sure that my items there are sticking properly. Again, as you can see, everything is nice and even, right? I love it when things fall into place that way. Again, I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to cut with my scissors, and I'm going to take this and just dump it in the garbage. Remember, you're using mulberry paper, so you may have, you know, some like little hairs, what I call hairs. And you want to make sure that your corners are very well adhered on. You know, if you want, you can just put a little bit of glue, of the decoupage glue, you know, to make it look like a better finish, or maybe just to be sure that that is not gonna go anywhere. So, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now. I think that this decoupage glue if I remember, I believe his name is David. I hope his name is David. Mention that whatever you're not using, you can go ahead and put it back into your bottle. I'm going to give that a try. Cutting the other way didn't help, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it this way. And that seems to be looking quite nicely. You're probably questioning, well, what about the holes? You know, don't worry about that. Because, you know, since I adhere the decoupage glue on the top, I'm not going to have a problem. And what I'm going to do is, since this is mulberry paper, I'm just going to take a little bit of water. And I'm going to put it in this little tray. And I'm going to get me another brush. Just to be safe, I like to have these extra brushes around. And I'm going to take the little water and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wet that area where the hole is, and I'm going to be pushing it down. As you can see, you know, rice paper is very forgiving, and I can go ahead and seal this later. But for now, I want to make the hole and let it soak the water so I can go ahead and get into that little hole. And I'm going to use the back of my brush to make sure that this is down. So then that way when I insert my letter in its place, it's going to fit perfectly. Let's see. I'm going to try it again. I'm going to press it and voila, that looks really good. I was able to pull it out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of this decoupage glue and I am just going to fill in the little hole so it can adhere nicely to the hole, and I won't have to be wrestling with my letter later. I've put my brush in the water. I'm going to go ahead and take the back of this brush again. This is all nicely in there, and I'm going to make sure that is adhere. So I'm looking, I put it backwards so I can see my paper, my rice paper, and making sure that since I put a little the Cadence paste or glue, that it is adhered to the surface in the inside. Okay, I'm making sure that this is fine. So then that way I'm gonna glue this down a little bit more, and I'm pressing against it. And since I had put some water, I want to make sure that this on top is not going to go anywhere. So I've added a little bit more. I'm just brushing a thin amount of the decoupage glue. Okay. And I'm going to put my brush in there, and this is ready to dry. As you can see, you see some fibers. Those are not bubbles. Those are the fibers from the mulberry paper, and it makes it unique. I love it. I really, really like the way so far it's coming out. Now I am going to take, and let me move this water out of the way. You know, you need a large working surface when you're doing this kind of thing, and I insist on working on just the quarter section of my desk or my table. I'm going to go ahead because I don't want to mess up my table, and I'm going to flip this. I hope I didn't make anybody dizzy. And like I said, like I mentioned before, I had made 2 copies of the rice paper. The good thing about the rice paper is, again, that is very forgiving, and if you have wrinkles on it, the good thing is that when you press it against something, a surface that you're working, the wrinkles do disappear. And in this case, I want to take this part of the J, and I want to go ahead and I'm going to leave this section out. And what I'm going to do is, because I want the flowers, this is the most important part for me. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my little brush, and let me take a napkin. Let me put this to dry over here. I don't want it in my way. First, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to cut out by wetting the section that I want to use. Okay? And I'm going to try to trace down the letter, not close to the letter, because I have plans on putting other stuff on the edge of the letter, but I want to make sure that I am going to get what I need for the J. And you know, this is just how I like to do it. You know, other people may have another way of working with rice paper and the decoupage. And like I said, I'm taking it just to the bottom of the J, and then I'm just going to cut it. In the meantime, I'm just going to keep wetting around here, because I'm going to be adding something, another part of the paper, and adhering it to the J. The process of wetting it and tearing it, you can either do it a little bit at a time, or you could do it all at once. It depends on how you want your project to look. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start tearing my paper. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. But before I do that, I want to stop, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to flip my paper over, and I want to go ahead and I want to prepare my J for adhering the paper. And I'm only doing it up to that corner for now, so I'm going to go ahead and do that because I'm not really sure, you know, how is it going to work for me. And you know, my hands shake and sometimes it doesn't work. I want it in the right place, so I'm gonna dab my little J down up to the area that I want to use, and then I'm going to start tearing my paper. If you go too far in, you know, you can wet it. Like I said, it's up to you. You know, different people work different ways. I like to do it this way. I've been wanting to do this for my friend for quite some time, and today became the day. I just re-wet it again, and I'm getting really close to the J, so I'm just gonna wet my paper. This is adhering properly. I'm loving the way it looks. I'm gonna wet my rice paper and just tug on it a little bit because I want to make sure that I have some fibers attached to the corner. So in this case, it doesn't matter whether it's even or not even, you know, the way that I'm decorating it, it really doesn't matter because I am going to be putting something in that corner. So I'm just going to tear my paper, and in some areas you're going to see it really close, in some areas you're not, but it doesn't really matter. With what I'm going to be doing, it doesn't really matter. Um, you are going to be able to see me just adhering and covering the letter. You're not going to see the final decoration of it. I will be posting a picture possibly on Facebook. I can go ahead and cover this area. On Facebook, just, you know, follow me on Facebook and here in my channel. And since I'm going to be covering this, it doesn't really matter. Decoupage paper, like I said, it's forgiving. You can tear it, you can layer it, because I'm going to be edging with the antiquing paint from LeBLanche. And right now, this requires for me to add a little bit of more paint or glue, so I can get my paper on here adhered. I'm going to press it, and I'm going to sit my brush over my wrist, rest. And again, I'm going to take more water and wet the paper up to where I want to tear it. And again, I have this corner here, but it really doesn't matter because I'm going to take a little bit of this glue and I'm going to place it on there, and I'm going to put my brush there, and then I want to make sure that I get this corner here. I added a little bit of water, and now I'm just going to go back on the top, and I'm going to be wetting my paper. And you know, you can either bring it up or just tear it, wet it, and I'm just gonna go down the line and just tear my mulberry paper or my rice paper, whatever you like to call it. And you see, sort of kind of like looking hairy in some areas, but you know, all that is going to be gone. So once I'm done with the project, you're not going to be able to tell the difference. I only want to make sure that it shows in some areas, and don't worry if you rip it a little, because that's how you work with rice paper. If you're very meticulous about how you want to have your little corners, and you know, everything's got to be perfect, then you may spend a little bit of more time just working on your project. That is totally entirely up to you. As you can see, there's still residue there. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a little bit more because it doesn't dry up that quickly. I'm really liking this Cadence glue. I was going to do Mod Podge and probably I won't need to. Okay, so now here I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a little overlay. Let me see, what do I want? Maybe I want a little bit of the letters over here. Okay, so I'm gonna do this section here. Again, I am going to start wetting it so I can tear it. And you know, I want to make sure that my letters are facing the right way, not like I did on the other one. Yeah, they are. And I'm going to go around. I am leaving a little bit of giveaway for the water to disperse, and at the same time it would be easier for me to tear. I see the paper underneath here, so I have a pretty good idea as to where I want to take it. Now I'm just adding a little bit of more pressure on my rice paper so I can have um, the little Frenchies and leftover paper that I want to have on my design here. So I'm gonna go ahead now before I do finish tearing it completely, and I want to go ahead and I want to add more paste to my project here. There's a little bit of overlay, but that's okay. I'm going to get rid of all my little air bubbles, and I'm going to place this down. And ladies, I'm really liking this Cadence fabric decoupage glue. I love it. That's one of the reasons why I ordered it. When I saw David doing the presentation, it's like, oh my god, that looks so good. Okay, here it's sort of kind of like overlapping a little bit more. I'm just gonna tear it. Put my, I can either use a brush, you know, a little bit wet, or I can just go ahead and start lifting this here since it's wet, and where I am going to stop and unite the area that I am going to overlay. I'm just going to tear it, and voila. So I'm going to lift this a little because it doesn't have any glue, and I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue there and make sure this overlays flat. So remember that I was not, when I put the glue, I was not really cautious at all as to where I was going to put it, because I want this to be a little bit sort of kind of like uneven, and I'm just getting rid of the excess and making sure that I run my finger along the side, and over here there's a little belly. I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to take a little bit of the glue, and I'm just going to spread it in that little corner. I'm going to be doing the same thing. I am cutting here because these are some of the fibers of the mulberry paper, and they're going to be in my way. So I'm going to flip this over to the side, and it sort of kind of looks like me when I get up in the morning, the hair all over the place. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be lifting as I'm adhering the glue on the side here, even though that I had put glue before, and I'm just making sure that this is totally attached, and I'm not being stingy with my Cadence glue, and I'm just pressing it against. I'm not worried about the excess because like I said, I'm going to take it against the grain, and right here in this little corner it looks like it's a little resistance, but you know, I'm going to use my scissors. I'm going to make sure that I get in there, and I'm running my finger, and look at, I'm going to take this corner here, and I'm going to put some Cadence glue on there. Again, I'm going to use this one here, and I'm adhering some of the glue there, and I'm leaving it kind of hairy, but I will take care of that later. I just want to make sure that I have glue in all my corners. That's why I am on the back side of my letter. There's some glue there. I don't want it to go to waste, you know. Us crafters, we don't let anything go to waste. So I've applied it to the fabric or to the mulberry paper. I want to make sure that this is sort of kind of standing up. If I need to paint the back later, I will, but for now, I'm just attaching my mulberry paper. See, that's why I cut that fiber, because I knew it was going to be in the way. So, I'm making sure that my J has glue, and you saw the little bit of glue that I poured into my cup. I mean, I didn't really use a whole lot, and it doesn't dry up instantly, which is great because it gives you the capability of being able to work the surface and do and glue what you need to glue. So, you know, this is a thumbs up for the Cadence Decoupage glue. I am using the fabric one, and they also have some sealants that I didn't get. I just wanted to get the Decoupage glue because I wanted to try something different in addition to the Mod Podge. Now what I'm doing is I'm going around my letter, and I am putting a little bit of glue, of this glue, with my brush on top of the decoupage paper, or the rice paper. Yeah, I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna catch it on this end. This one, I got a little hole there, but that can be fixed. Let me try to bring it down. Yeah, that's what happened. Okay, and now that I've done that, I got my corners covered. I have this covered. I'm going, it's very lightweight, it's plastic. I'm gonna do my corner, and I'm gonna run my fingers so there aren't any extra excessive glue. I'm doing the same thing on this corner here. Again, you know, once you wet your rice paper, is pretty much very pliable to wherever you want it to adhere to. Again, I'm just sort of kind of brushing the excess off with my finger, and I'm gonna go ahead and this is, whoops, little falling down. Let me move this out of the way, that over there. I'm going to take this little corner here, and I am going to add more glue. There's still some here, and I am going to take my decoupage, and as you can see, I'm brushing it down, and I'm making sure that this is completely adhere to my corner of the letter. Don't worry about this, I'll get rid of it later. So far so good. Let me put this here. Let me put this in the water. Now you have time to work with this. I'm gonna go ahead, since I have more section. See, I just wrinkled this, and I don't have to worry about that because I'm gonna be able to use whatever I want out of there. Oh, I'm really liking the way it's coming out so far. Let me see. This is all in, and I can see the fibers coming through the letter. Now, this corner has white. I want to go ahead and possibly use this little section here. It doesn't necessarily have to be perfect. I just run one into the other because I'm going to be getting rid of most of that. Or I can use the other section here and do the rest of my letter. Let's see. This has writing. I really like to use the writing section. So, let's do this again. I'm going to go ahead And I'm going to get some of my glue, and I'm going to make sure that I have enough there. And since I'm going to be doing this with my fingers anyhow, I'm just going to go ahead and paint the whole section. Like I said, this seems to be very forgiving. I'm going to put that brush into the very crannies that I didn't do before. But, you know, it's another way that you can do it. I'm not trying to rush the job, but I want to make sure, yeah. Let me see how I had this. I want to go ahead and use that corner of it. Yeah, with the writing. Yeah, I'm going to glue that there up to where the other one was. That's the good thing about the rice paper. Like I said, it's very forgiving and it works. I seem to have lost my other brush. Oh, here it is. Okay, again, I am going to add a little bit of water. And I'm going to go ahead and double check my section here where I have the paper. And I'm going to go around and I'm going to take it to this corner here so I can tear it. I don't mind having some of the rice paper in some area and some not, because I am going to be distressing that anyhow. Let me just break this up. Hold on just one second. It is Jesenia. Oh, she needs $5. I do, but oh, hold on just one second. I'm sorry. Here, just give her. I'm sorry, my doorbell rang on this, unfortunately, and it so happens that it's the lady that I am doing this for. Okay, so I'm gonna adhere that there. Look, it's my friend, and I don't want her to see this. My husband is answering the door for me. Delivery. Thank you. I'm going to tear this right here. I'm putting pressure on the outer section of where my rice paper is at. I don't mean to have my hands in front, but I could do this with the brush and just tear it like I normally would. Okay, I'm just going to add pressure and just pull. Okay, that's it. Rice paper is very forgiving. I want to take it to this corner here, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of water here because that's where I want to tear it. And maybe here. I can overlap them. I don't have to be perfect. Okay, that looks pretty good. I've already added water here in the center, so I know where I want my tears, and I'm gonna go ahead and wet this a little. And you know, don't worry about the water seeping into the area, because you are going to be putting a final coat on this to seal it. At least I am, because I need to make sure that this is going to adhere. At least for me, it's the first time me using the Cadence glue. So, and if I was working with Mod Podge, I'm definitely going to be putting an extra coat. So I just want to tear this a little, so then that way I have a working surface that I can adhere in the back. And I'm going to get all those little important corners that I have to get to. So I'm going to wet this. That's why I said it doesn't really matter, you know, what the inside of the letter is going to look like, because I am going to, what needs to be, I'm going to be gluing that section, and I'm going to be working this with water to make sure that it's underneath where it needs to be. And so thank you so much, ladies, for being here and listening to me babble while I'm working. I really appreciate your support in my YouTube channel, and letting people know about my crafting. I don't do a lot of videos, but lately I've been working on different things. I like to repurpose a lot items, and I've been doing some, I guess, tutorial videos on how I'm working on different things. So I've adhered that section there. I want to make sure that my glue doesn't dry up, even though that doesn't seem to be the case. That's why I said I'm really liking this Cadence. And I'm going in now, and I am using my little brush and making sure that I am getting all those little crannies, and that is adhered very nicely to my working surface, which is press paneling here. And I am just running my fingers, bringing it to the edge, but making sure that this sort of kind of like, it's glued to a point, but not necessarily excessively. I have a little glue here from the front, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my brush, the back of my brush, because when the rice paper is wet, like I said, it's very pliable, and it does sort of kind of like breaks up. So by me having a little bit of glue and working surface there, it's working just fine for me or any of your projects. I hope you ladies give this a try. I've seen some letters at the Dollar Tree, and they I've decorated one. I'm just going in here and working my surface and making sure that everything is glued with my smaller brush, and that there isn't any extreme excess in the back that I can lift up just to the corner there. We have this little section here that I need to sort of kind of like break through so I can work in that corner. And my Mod Podge and also my rice paper is glued to that surface. Just working it. So I hope you ladies have today is a Saturday, September 2nd, and the summer is almost over. I hope you have great plans. This one is giving me a little bit of hard time. Maybe I should have done this section here a little bit different. I just want to make sure that it is glued in there, attached to the surface. And I'm gonna put a little bit of the Cadence glue, and be careful, in that little corner, and that it is adhere. I guess when you're working with small spaces like this, you know, it makes it a little bit harder. I'm just gonna take the back of my brush and just break it through here. I hope this works out and that my project comes out nicely. Like I said, you know, this is just craft with me video. If you like it, you know, hey, show it to your friends, send it to your friends, so they can see what they can do with the rice paper. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that this is adhered in this corner just as well. Let me cut this fibers here so I can get in that corner. So, you know, I don't know, maybe you ladies are starting to work on your Christmas projects and gifting, you know, if you have a lot of friends or family that you do gifting for. I'm gonna make sure that this is really, really, really stuck there. And right here, I'm going to put the back of my brush and I'm gonna press it down, and I'm going to adhere some glue. Maybe I can do it from the back. I see a little fiber in here that I need to get rid of, and I can go ahead in this cranny and just cut the paper, which you really don't have to, and not use your water. Okay, my rice paper is fine in that corner. I'm using my handy dandy tool here, the brush, and pressing it down. I'm going to take some more glue and run it all the way around, so then that way this can adhere to my surface. Okay, let me take the back of the brush and just run it around, so then that way I can have enough to put in this corner here. That seems to be giving me a little bit of problem because of that extra fiber. Maybe I should just go in and cut it, because it is kind of thick. Okay, that's out of my way. I'm gonna press this. There we go. And take it off. Let me use a paper towel. It probably works better. I'm gonna press down this here. I seem to have ripped my rice paper a little there, or it curled. So I'm gonna work it with my brush. Okay, this I can cut. I don't need it. You know, those little extra hairs, you can get rid of them. Of fabric. Oh, my dangle is getting in the way. It does sometimes. I'm gonna go ahead and press this against. Use the back of my brush, or the tip, the other end of my brush, to make sure that this is adhering quite nicely here. This is the corner that is just giving me a little bit of a hard time, so I'm going to Mod Podge it, or use the Cadence glue to bring it down, and the back side of my brush. I have a little part here that is up. I'm not worried about it. because I'm going to be taking that residue and just getting rid of it. So so far so good. I'm gonna go ahead and tear this off. I don't need that excess. I'm making sure with my finger that my fibers are in place, so then that way they don't look kind of hairy. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of more Cadence glue on top, just to be sure that I didn't miss any corner. And at the same time, it would help me with my additional leftover fibers. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of more of the Cadence fabric there. So far so good. Now I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to put it in water just in case, because I don't know. Like I said, I'm using this for the first time. I am going to take this little fiber over here that is just annoying me badly. Got rid of it. Glad I had scissors. Always keep them close to you. So far so good, right? It looks good. I'm making sure that everything is sticking on the other end. I can see the fibers there, and I'm not worried about this end over here because I'm going to cut all that off. Now I'm going to get to the end, and I have to be careful that I don't break my J. However, I want to go ahead and show some of these flowers over here. So what I'm going to do with this one, let me put my brush in the water and clean it a little. I'm just sort of gonna, I could do it with the water, but I'm just trying to be fast about this. We've been online already for about an hour, and yeah, an hour already. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna adhere this here, a little bit on top. Don't mind me, I'm sorry, the water. I'm gonna go ahead, and I'm not gonna need that much, so let me speed up the process by sort of kind of like cutting around it. I mean, it's fast with water, but you know, I know exactly what I'm going to be needing, so I'm gonna put this aside and use that aside, and I'm gonna go ahead and lay this over. So again, going to clean my brush a little since I had it in water, because I want to make sure that the Cadence is working for me. And I am going to put some glue on here, making sure I get those little edges and corners there. And then I'm going to, being a little cheap I guess with my glue, let me add a little more. I just want to go ahead and put it in the surface here so I'm not missing anything, and I want to lay it right on top, so then that way I can just touch it up with the water, and hopefully these will just adhere together and it won't look like it's been attached. So, you know, you can work your surface any way you want. I'm going to cut this piece over here because I noticed that I put that a little bit higher. And I am going to, boo-boo, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to put a little bit of this glue in this little corner underneath here so you can see where I've attached it. I mean, you would have to look at it really, really, really closely in order to see what I've done. So I am putting the Mod Podge now on top to make sure that these two sections are sort of kind of like glued together. I've pretty much cleaned my brush there, and now I'm going to put this flat on the surface there, and I'm going to do the same process again with the water because I want to make sure that I break through these little places here, okay, because that's part of the design, and I want to make sure that I get in there. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing over here. It's got a little dot there, and I want to get in there. It's got a little hole there and a little hole there. Okay, and then I'm just gonna break through this one with my water, so then that way I could adhere it to the corners. Okay, this is like kind of wet. I want to make sure that I get in that corner. Let me get some of these fibers out of my way. Okay, there's glue there, there's glue there, and over here. And I've already covered that little corner. I'm just going to add a little bit of my Cadence glue, and now I'm going to break through this one with water. A little bit of water, not a whole lot. I want to break through my design here and here. You know, and it's good that I have a little bit of glue on here because it's going to help me get this adhered to the corners. Okay, I'm going to take the other part of the brush and I am going to go around and making sure that it's completely broken. Let me move my paper there because it folded. It's a small surface and I want to make sure that I have rice paper there. Okay, I don't know. I hope you find the video to your likings. If you have any suggestions, by all means, I'm open for any different ways of doing things, or how you do it, or how it's worked for you. Do leave comments because I like to read them and maybe change my experience on how I am doing it. Really, in all reality, there is no right or wrong way of doing this. I think this is pretty much it. Let me get a little bit of glue in this corner. I'm gonna flip it over anyways and add more glue. But right now, I'm just trying to get into that surface. Let me try something. Let me try my X-Acto knife. You know, everything just comes tumbling down. Let me try my X-Acto knife. It's wet, but I don't want to keep you here longer than I have to. Okay, let me cover that baby, because knowing me, I will cut myself. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go into the little crannies here and wetting it, and using the X-Acto knife seems to be working just fine. I have this little corner here that I want it to be a little bit more. Oops, I took, no, that happens. Now, that's what I get for using my X-Acto knife. I could always go back and fix this little corner here. I mean, worst case scenario, I can cut a piece. There's an oops in the video. Okay, that's alright. I've gone around. I'm making sure that my paper is all in. I will fix that little corner there. I've gone around here and this little corner, make sure my paper is not wrinkled where I adhered it. And now I'm gonna work these corners down here. Here's where I had that little snag. I'm wetting that a little so I can go ahead and adhere my little corner. So I'm not worried about the amount of glue. Let me put that is surfacing in the outside. I had forgotten to put glue there. I'm pressing it down. And now I need more water. Of course. Okay. I'm using my fingers and pressing against it. And as you can see, in some areas, you know, it looks like there isn't any rice paper. But here this one got stuck. Let me try to pull it out from me moving it around. Okay. Because I was working on the other side. I'm making sure that this is at here. Let's work on this little corner here. I'm going to wet it a little. And then I'm going to use my X-Acto knife to break it up. Just a tad. And water. So then I can go ahead and use the back of my brush and then press it inward. And to make the little curve that I want, I'm going to go ahead and use the brush to put it against the surface and get my paper, my rice paper in there in that corner. I'm doing the same thing here. And I'm going to put a little dab of water here. So this can be inward. Now, this is my excess. I have one more corner to do. I'm going to go ahead and wet it. So then I can try to get through the X-Acto knife. This here, I want to make sure that there is no bubbles. And that is adhering. I'm going to go ahead and put glue here and press it down. So then that way it looks really, really good, and I can press it from the top cautiously, and this won't be lifting. Okay. I will cut the excess later once it's totally dried. Look at that, looks really nice. I'm gonna press this down, what I can get into that crease, use my brush to get it in there. That works really great. I'm gonna go ahead, what did I tell you? I could get cut with this X-Acto brush knife. I almost stuck it into my hands. I am a danger with knives. Okay, so I've cut it up a little. Let me make sure this thing stays on here, because I almost stabbed my hand. Again, I'm going to wet it a little. There is some glue on the brush, but I want to break through that little cranny and get down to the little corners in there, so it can look nicely done. And over here where I did my boo-boo and I added something, I need to make sure that I have enough glue there. Okay, I am wetting my brush a little and running it around the little curly Q here, and at the same time I'm pressing against the corner so it can stay. Again, since I can't get my finger in there, I need the brush to do the work for me, and at the same time glue that little corner, and it doesn't stay standing up. This is the little section that I added in addition to. I'm gonna press against it and make sure that that is in the right place. Over here, I like the fact that my brush is sort of kind of wet, and at the same time I'm getting the fibers off of there. This one I am just going to wet, and we're almost to the end of me applying the rice paper. I hope so far you have enjoyed my video. Like I said, I am going to be posting my final figure when I post the video of the decorating of my letter J. I just don't want to post the video until I've given my friend her gift. I'm trying to finish it this weekend. The Cadence is still wet. Oh man, I really like the Cadence Decoupage glue. I'm really liking it. And as you can see, I didn't really use a lot. Just 3 little squirts, and that worked out really good. Now these little fibers right here, they're really annoying me. It's just a little. Don't let that take my joy away. So I'm just making sure. Let me lift that a little. Run it to the corner. Okay. Over here I have a little bit of more glue. This is fiber from the paper, and I'm not worried about these corners. So let me remove this from the table, put my brush back into the water. This is just an eating mat, and to be quite honest with you, all this glue just comes right off if I wash it with Dawn and soap, and that way I don't get it directly onto my glass. I noticed when I laid this down, it sort of kind of lifted, but you know, overall I do have to give it a thumbs up to my Cadence Decoupage and my, what is it, in Studio Painting Perfection USB board, because I love the print that I am getting on here, and I will be decorating this shabby chic with pearls and flowers, and it is a wonderful, oh, I got a little corner here, but I can finish that offline. I got this little corner that I tore um, off, but I will fix it, and you won't see it online. And really quick, it's fixed. uh, that's the wonderful thing about working with rice paper. You can fix things like really, really quick. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, it was a crafting video, and I will post finally my work of art. Thank you so much for being here and watching. I gotta go, my doorbell is ringing, and this is the base, and I will be clearing that up. Have a wonderful weekend, and stay safe.